So Paddy Pimblett's about to fight Tony Ferguson tonight, basically. Well, 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm in the UK. And my opinion about this fight is very interesting because if it was like several years ago when Tony Ferguson was in his prime, when he's beating the likes of RDA, when he's beating the likes of Anthony Pettis with one fucked up leg, when he's beating all these great fighters, like he was destroying, like running through the lightweight division. I don't think Paddy Pimblett would have lasted even a round against him. I think he would have got completely destroyed. He would have got completely whitewashed, and Tony Ferguson would have ripped him up like a chainsaw, and he would have been a bloody mess at the end of the fight. There's no way like he could have come even close to Tony Ferguson when Tony Ferguson was in his prime. But unfortunately, this is a Tony Ferguson that's on a 6-fight skid. I mean, he's lost 6 fights in a row, and it all started with the Justin Gaethje fight. Justin Gaethje completely beat the living breaks out of Tony Ferguson. And even before that, you can argue that it happened before that because there was a steady decline going on before that fight. Like, you can even see it in the Anthony Pettis fight. He looked like he lost a step. But you can argue with the Anthony Pettis fight, like, you can say that because of the fact that he didn't look like he was... he didn't look as quick as he was supposed to look. But the reason why I would say that he didn't look as sharp as he did before was, you can argue, is because of the injury that he had on his knee when he tripped over a cable. So with all of that taken into account, in a way, look, I was a massive Tony Ferguson fan. I love the way he was ripping up the lightweight division, and it's almost like there was 3 of them. There was Khabib, who was the most dominant. You had Conor McGregor, who had the most charisma and fame and popularity. And then you had Tony Ferguson, who, when Conor McGregor went over to boxing and Tony Ferguson won the lightweight interim title of Kevin Lee, in my opinion, at that point, you could argue that he was the lightweight champion because it was only because of politics that he never actually won the belt, okay? But Tony Ferguson, for hardcore MMA UFC fans, was like the people's champion. He was the guy that like the UFC, for whatever reason, did not want to herald as the champ, but like he was the people's champion in a lot of ways, right? But the unfortunate thing is, like, because of mismanagement, because of decisions that he made, for example, he said stuff like he decided to do a double weight cut when it came to the Justin Gaethje fight. And there were several decisions that he made that bit him. And I think after he'd done that double weight cut, he was never the same because not only did he cut weight once, and it was a brutal weight cut because Tony Ferguson is a big guy, he cut weight again for no reason, apparently. And because of that, I just don't feel like he was the same again. So with that being said, honest to God, a part of me does not want him to win the fight against Paddy Pimblett. And the reason for that is with Tony Ferguson's rationale and his crazy mindset, if he manages to beat Paddy Pimblett, he's going to want to continue keep going with his career. He's going to be like, oh, look, I've rejuvenated my career. I got with David Goggins and I managed to get this win over Paddy Pimblett. So I'm ready to fight again. I'm ready to get back in the mix and get there and start fighting again. But the problem is, Paddy Pimblett, in his last performance against Jared Gordon, did not look good, right? So Paddy Pimblett, in my opinion, is not that good of a fighter. His popularity and hype is way more than who he is as an actual fighter, okay? So with that being said, whoever wins or loses this fight, in a weird way, I win. Because the fact is, if he loses this fight, Tony Ferguson, and Paddy Pimblett wins, hopefully that will like wake him up to retire. Because going on a 7-fight skid is terrible. I mean, with a fighter with the ego of Tony Ferguson, I mean, that's got to hurt. I mean, he knows Paddy Pimblett isn't even close to him in his prime. For him to lose to Paddy Pimblett would be pretty humiliating, right? I think that can edge him towards his retirement. But if he beats Paddy Pimblett, I don't really like Paddy Pimblett as a person. And I think he's overhyped. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's as good as his hype suggests. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter, because to even get into the UFC and get to this level, like, you've got to have something. And he did become a double cage warrior champion. So there's something there, but I don't think he's quite on the level to fight with the lightweight elites. I just don't think he's on the level of the Michael Chandlers, the Charles Oliveira's of the world. Forget about Islam Makhachev. Just forget that. He's just not on that level. Okay, so whoever wins this fight, I'm happy for them. Like if Paddy wins, then hopefully it opens up Tony Ferguson's eyes so that he can finally retire. If Tony Ferguson wins, I'm happy to see him humiliate Paddy Pimblett, and I think that's what the MMA fraternity wants. The problem is if he beats Paddy Pimblett, it's going to boost him and make him think that he can carry on with his career. When I think at that point is the perfect time for him to retire. Just get one more win and just bow out. That's what I think he should do. But unfortunately, I don't think Tony Ferguson will do that. In terms of who I think is actually going to win, I think Paddy Pimblett beats him, and I just think it's because Tony Ferguson is just not the same man anymore. When I saw him fight against Nate Diaz, I knew then he was gone. He was not the same man because you just see it in his eye. The competitive fight is gone. He's just trying to pay his bills, which is fair enough. You need to pay your bills, but I just don't think he should continue because even in his last fight when he got choked out by Bobby Green is not a guy that's known as a submission artist. So for you to get choked out by Bobby Green is terrible. And for him to before when he was losing to the likes of Beneil Dariush and Charles Oliveira and such, you can say that he was in there against good competition. But when you lose it to Bobby Greens and the Paddy Pimbletts of the world, I think it's time to bow out. I think it's time to go because you're not on that level. Maybe you could go to a smaller organization like the PFL or something. But in terms of fighting the top fighters in the lightweight division, I think he needs to bow out. And the UFC are shameless. They're going to keep giving him opponents so that they can build up their future stars because that's what they do. They don't care. So yeah, that's my opinion. I think Paddy Pimblett's going to win this one. It could be a submission that he's going to win via. But honest to God, like the fact that this is such a big fight on the card relative to how washed up Tony Ferguson is a testament to how much the MMA community loves Tony Ferguson. So tell me what you think below about what I'm saying. Do you think what I'm saying is true? Or do you think what I'm saying isn't true? Do you think maybe Tony Ferguson can pull it off? I think he's training with David Goggins. It might improve his cardio, but it's not cardio that he's lacking. It's not lacking cardio. He's not lacking will and character and determination. What he's lacking is actual MMA skills, which have deteriorated over time because of all the brutal punishment he's taken over the years. Tell me what you think below. Maybe what you think is what I'm saying is not true. What do you think I'm saying is not right? Tell me what you think below and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.